Hey Miranda, how you doing? All right, thank you so much for your submission here, and I've got your work up right here. Now, one thing you did say in your submission here, and I think this you meant to say consistent, but it says I think my work is at least somewhat inconsistent. I think you meant to say consistent there, and I agree. I think the letter forms are pretty consistent. So, in a nutshell, I just want to give you the reasoning why letter spacing is so important and how it moves from letter spacing to word spacing, um, to sentence spacing to paragraph, and it all comes down to this: our eye perceives groups more readily than it perceives individual elements. So proper spacing allows us to view and to understand words as opposed to series of letters. Let me show you an example. This is banana kern and spaced optimal spacing. This is default spacing. So as we can see in default, the reason why letter spacing is so important is because it allows our mind to perceive words as one word as opposed to a series of letters. So here, with this kind of default spacing, we see our mind just kind of goes banana instead of banana, recognizing the word, boom, it's banana. And the same thing kind of holds true as we move from individual words to sentences to paragraphs. Optimal spacing allows our mind to group letters into words and to group words into sentences so that we don't have to make so many pauses as we're going through any particular typographic selection. So if you can see, I'm going to exaggerate this, okay? But you can see if there was a wide space between the N and the A, our mind would go banana instead of seeing banana. And that is just a kind of a really over exaggerated example of why letter spacing is so important. So let's go ahead and jump over to your letter spacing. Now, general rule of thumb in letter spacing is this. You want it to look natural, right? The letter spaces between letters are not going to be equal, but you want them to appear as so. So based on counterforms and counterspace, the formula is this. The most narrow space would be between two curved letter forms, okay? Then the next widest space would be between a straight and a curved, and then the widest area would be between two straights. And so basically what you want to do is kind of use that formula moving forward. I think you're pretty good right here. I think you're a little thin through the A and the N, the A and N here. So again, it's the most narrow would be between two curves, followed by a curve and a straight, and then the widest would be between two straights. So use that and go ahead and set your kerning for your final submission for Sunday. There's not much that you really have to do here. I think this is kerned beautifully. So just a little bit on craft. Craft is outstanding, by the way. Just see a couple of little hiccups, a couple of inconsistencies in the A's and in the N's. Let me tell you what I mean. Over here, you can see the A's and the N's in Franklin Gothic. We can see that there's a variable stroke width, meaning that the width over here is the width right here is a little thinner than it is right here. Conversely, in the A, the bottom of the bowl of the A, that space right there is a little bit thinner than the thickest space in the A. And we don't really see that reflected in your work where these seem to be all the same stroke width throughout all of the letter forms. You definitely want to capture those variable stroke widths. I don't see the baseline, the mean line, and the cap line being applied here. So that's something that you definitely want to do. Right here, I've got this properly kerned with the baseline, mean line, cap line. Note, this is called overshoot. The curved parts of the letter form hang a little bit above and a little bit below the mean line and baseline, respectively. All curved letter forms should sit above the mean line or below the baseline or above the cap line, respectively. Just a touch, not much at all. As you can see, it's just barely visible. And the reason is that counter affects the optical illusion that curved letters would be considered to be a lot smaller if we didn't have that little. That's called overshoot, by the way. So we definitely want to address that and represent that in the final submission for Sunday. So baseline, mainline, cap line, craft just a little bit. Watch your true verticals. Okay, that looks like it's on a diagonal right there, as opposed to a true vertical, straight up and down, right? Other than that, I think it's a fantastic start. So go ahead and take my recommendations and run with them, and go ahead and reassemble for Sunday. And oh, by the way, just want to bring your attention to this. Right over in the announcements area, I've got this announcement, how to kern banana. Go ahead and take a look at that, and that'll make a lot of sense. Try to take a look at that before you render out your final sketch for Banana for Sunday's submission. All right, great job. Thank you very much. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. Thanks.